Hello and welcome to Audio Gyan. Today we have Saket Vaidya with us, aka Vulturo. Saket has over 16 years of experience in the online world and has worked in almost all possible roles. Started as a technical recruiter and then a blogger, podcaster, handling brands and accounts to developing applications and also as a tech lead. We worked together for almost 3 years while I was in Web Chutney. Prior to Indigo Consulting, Saket was COO at Web Chutney handling North India. Saket is one of those people whom I know are like early adopters of tech in the Indian online world. A very old friend and a guide in my early career. Welcome, Saket. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Kedar, thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Today, we'll be discussing some basic questions and also trying to know your journey so far. Since you've worked in such a wide variety of jobs, do you think there's a real digital solution?
Well, my journey has really been weird and fantastic, and I have enjoyed every moment of it. As you rightly say, I have spent a lot of years in the industry. I think I've been working for about 16 years in total now, but even if you look at the digital industry per se, it is almost 12 plus or 13 plus years. And sort of to put this into perspective, I mean, my first job, which actually was for around 4 or 5 years, was that of a technical recruiter. And I just hire people in technology, and that's what I did for a day job. And in the evening, I used to blog, and I used to blog a lot, almost every day. I was one of India's first few bloggers. Those were the early days. I think blogging really started in India in 2001, but back then there were really few people. I must have started in 2003 and continued blogging till 2009 for a good 6 years. And even though I still have my blog, I'm not so regular and so on. But through blogging, I came to know the organization where I actually spent the larger part of my career. That's Web Chutney. And I would probably want to say that I was the first person who actually ever got paid for doing social media in India. So I started my digital career as a social media analyst. This was back in 2006, and my job was just to basically network with my fellow bloggers and sort of see what we could do with brands. It was obviously a very fledgling field. There was no Facebook, there were no social networks per se. It was just blogs, so corporate blogging advisory services and online reputation management. That was just about it. And those were some fun experiences. Worked on some interesting projects, and then Facebook just suddenly hit. I mean, earlier when you said social networking, you only had Orkut, and that was just something that you did. It really did not have any. So, and from then on in 2007, really, Facebook really hit in the sense that they opened up the API. Earlier, it was a university-specific network, and suddenly it became a network accessible to public. With it came the social networking APIs, which allowed you to build Facebook applications and so on. So I kind of pivoted from blog into emerging applications built on the Facebook API, applications built on the several RIAA, which was the Rich Internet Application platforms available at the time. Moving on to actually amassing a full-fledged software development team, going to Pune, hiring some freshers and so on, and scaling up to being a program manager in charge of about 20 odd developers, moving into an AVP role nationally, having a 40-member team under me, and then eventually sort of shifting business side and, as you said, to the operational area. I mean, I've been practically heading digital agencies in North India for the past 5 or 6 years. It's been a great journey. And in those times, it's really been fun actually working with brands, working with organizations in general to solve problems using the internet, using technology, and essentially the digital medium. And to answer your question, if is there a digital solution? Yes, the answer definitely is there is a digital solution, of course.
hmm So, what exactly does your roles and responsibilities demand? I mean, given that you are like a technical solution architect, so from an agency standpoint, what kind of responsibilities you have in terms of handling the brand or providing them with a technical solution? Because since I'm working in a product environment, it's slightly different than the agency. So, how different is it from product development as well?
Sure. So when you work in a product development setup, you're pretty much committed to your product, your releases, your sprints, and so on. Or a digital solution architect, or so to speak, a digital technologist, if that's the correct word, uh, is someone who can actually bridge the gap between technology and brands. So advertising, of course, is evolving as a field in the country, around the world, and digital is a niche within that. So organizations which sort of have been in the mainstream advertising segment, they already have people who work like brand planners, account planners, who actually look at what solution can be best suited to what brand to solve what business problem. And while digital is just a medium, since the nuances of technology are very vast, and while a good project manager might be able to deliver a project on schedule, it will definitely need someone who has an eye for marketing as well as technology, as well as emerging technology and the possibilities thereof, to sort of marry both of these together and create a solution which wows people and which comes across as novel while solving a business problem.
No, but I believe like agencies don't really get to ship stuff, right? I mean, given me working in a product environment, the happiness or the satisfaction which you get after shipping stuff is really different than this kind of model. So, what makes you stick in the agency kind of environment?
Well, here, while typically when you work for a product company, your satisfaction is derived from how many downloads you got, how many installs you got, what kind of usage are you getting, and you've got all kinds of analytics in place, and you kind of go and declare, oh, yesterday we had so many concurrent users, and we have crossed these many users, and so on. When you are actually building and deploying a solution for someone else, the satisfaction really comes from did the solution do what it is supposed to do? Did it really help the customer? And did it really affect human lives? So, I mean, ultimately, being a product company or a services company, when you say that I've got so many users, ultimately, the goal is for something that you wrote, the piece of code that you created, to actually help ordinary, normal people do something, and while helping, in the case of a product company, achieve certain revenue targets, or in the case of a brand, achieving certain business goals. So, for example, I think one of the most interesting solutions I built, which was long back, in 2008 or 9, I suppose, when there was no e-commerce per se in the country, and we convinced a jewelry brand called Tanishq to, really trust in the power of online marketing and set up an e-commerce shopping cart from the ground up on their own. And we helped build it for them. And while it sounds simple, it actually was a complex job, integrating with different legacy systems, getting all the marketing angles at play, playing up their collections correctly, and just a visual merchandising of it. At the end of the day, after first 6 months of operations of that e-commerce platform, when we actually were able to learn from the client that we sold about 4 crore rupees worth of product online in jewelry, which was basically unheard of in those days, was a greatly satisfying thing.
Yeah, but in a product environment, you get to iterate on the product. You can improve the user experience of the customers, right? So, in an agency model, how does this work? Because I believe the solutions which you provide have a slightly smaller shelf life. Uh, Thereby, like, does it give satisfaction? I mean, how does that model work, or how do you handle that bit?
The way you handle that bit is ensuring, I mean, that you share a much deeper relationship with the client. You can always be this software services company charge a specific amount for a certain bespoke project, deliver the project and move on and trust the project to the client. They can do whatever they want with it. Or in the case of a digital agency, one that is not just in the business of software development, one that is not just in the business of surrogate product development, but one that is truly in the business of marketing, to build and create a solution for someone and actually be engaged with them in the long term, really does give you enough opportunities to, like you said, iterate or enhance the product, or at the same time add more features and sort of build upon the platform, even if you were in a product company, but in this case do the same thing for a client, and the satisfaction is just the same.
That's interesting. We will slightly change tracks here. I wanted to understand what's the role of an agency when they are helping these entrepreneurs. Now that we have this startup culture booming across India, uh, are these agencies trying to help build platform, build products? How do agencies fit in the scheme of things? And what's your take on overall the startup culture itself?
So as far as the startup scene is concerned, I think it's a great thing. I mean, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, while some of the bigger, larger names in the industry, which have already IPO'd right now, if you take your Make My Trip and Naukri.com and all of those are from those times. But today, I think there is a lot more opportunity. Your startup, if you forget the dot-com boom, I think today is the day when the market is actually stabilized. You can actually have an idea that is out there and you can still make it work. And it is really great for young minds to have these options before them. Earlier, you just had to get a job with, let's say, a software company. If you want to do something different, you join an agency and hope to do cool stuff. Right now, you can even do something on your own, and you never know if it actually works out. You might just be way more successful beyond your wildest dreams in a very short time. Now, to answer the second part of your question, as to how agencies benefit from startups or vice versa, while your mainstream digital agencies today are about making the most in terms of revenue. So they're concerned working with startups that is this company actually having the money to actually run a marketing program, and startups are very concerned with being efficient and so on. So I would say that when it comes to startups, well-funded startup and mainstream digital agency can see a good fit. Specifically, if that agency is very strong pertaining to the whole go-to-market aspects of digital marketing, as well as ensuring that a certain ROI can be delivered. If your startup is not funded, I'm sorry, but a mainstream digital agency most likely is not interested in working with you, because they value their time, they pay their employees certain salaries, and they expect that the hours that their employees to put in to be billable. So, but then again, digital agencies come in all shapes and sizes. So you have these startups who are also digital agencies working with startups in other fields and doing something cool.
It sounds like a mini ecosystem building in itself. And I would like to ask you like a personal question, but what do you think, what do you enjoy the most while working in this kind of a setup?
To harken back to your previous question, when you asked me as to what gives a digital solution architect the most satisfaction, therein my answer was that the most human lives you actually touch with your product, that's what is the most satisfying thing. In terms of an actual profession, I think there are two things that have personally given me satisfaction as a person. One of them is, of course, uh, creating value. Now, value is something that cannot be described in words per se, or there's no fixed definition. But ultimately, being able to create something out of nothing, as they say, creating value out of thin air, and delivering those results, be it to your clients, the customers of your clients, to your own shareholders, and being able to sort of demonstrate that something has been created out of nothing. Ultimately, the bottom line is what really gives you some satisfaction in terms of, okay, you are doing this right. And the secondary aspect is when you solve a communications problem, and when you're able to, through your, while I'm sure people in mainstream advertising agencies sort of manage to get this satisfaction much more often compared to digital marketers. But when you actually, because that's where the positioning of the brand and so on comes on. But there are certain brands where their positioning has been affected solely by what they have done on digital, or how they've approached digital, or their communication on digital. And when you're able to bring about a change in perception, and translating from that, when you're able to actually bring about a change in human behavior through your activity of marketing, that is very rewarding and that is very satisfying. So, I mean, I'm sure there was some digital marketer in charge of, let's say, the current program to get more and more people to stop using paper money and use digital transaction, I'm sure. And there is there is clearly a trend towards that, and I'm not really sure which one individual you can say is behind this. But through a series of actions and communications and government directives as well, if there is a certain behavioral change that has been observed, and that behavioral change is for the better, I'm sure the person who originally thought of this idea, it must give him great satisfaction. So ultimately, it's about delivering value and being able to change behavior. And that's what marketing is all about. And digital, by an extension, is just a medium, but at the same time, each medium is equally important. So in your heart, you're always a marketer.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but like when we started our career, we obviously explored a lot more disciplines till we find the true calling, right? So any for the lack of better word, but any tips for the coming generation, for the people who want to get into the online world? How do they find the right job, or how do they know that this is what they are capable of doing, or this is what they should do? Any thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to the online industry, what is hot now may not be hot tomorrow. So right now in the startup space and the technology space, everybody is talking about blockchains and whatnot. When it comes to digital marketing, every brand today wants to create a chatbot. Maybe a year ago, it was something else. And 4 years ago, every brand just wanted to get on Facebook. That's what they wanted to do. So the needs keep changing. What is cool keeps changing. It keeps changing. So you can't always pinpoint and say, okay, this is one thing that we could get into, or this is one thing that you should always do, because the pulse of the market will always change. So the question that you ask yourself really is, I mean, apart from the big cliche of are you really having fun? The second question to ask yourself is, am I solving somebody's problem? Whatever I'm doing, is it affecting something in the real world? And if the answer to that question is yes, and you do believe that your actions are making somebody's life better, then you should keep doing what you're doing. And ultimately, hard work just pays off. I mean, if you remain committed to delivering value and you just work hard, you do get noticed. I mean, I people sort of have tried to point out to me that I could be an exception, but I truly believe that if you just sort of focus on this mantra, there is nothing stopping from growing you. I grew from a social media analyst to a chief operating officer in about 8 years. And that was phenomenal. And I don't see any reason why anybody else cannot do that. I mean, yes, it is said that you have to be at the right place at the right time, but being at the right place and right time is oftentimes not in your control. How can you say if I'm in the right place or not, or is it the right time? What you can control is that the effort that you deliver. So in Sanskrit, there is this phrase called Purushartha, which is basically Have you done your bit? Have you delivered the effort that was required of you? And as long as you keep doing that, at beyond some point, nothing can stop you. Is what I can say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, true, true. That's a great way to end this conversation. Thanks, Saket, for being on the show. It was great talking to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kira.
And that's it from today's Gyan session with Saket Vaidya. Stay tuned for more Gyan on Audio Gyan next week. Till then, bye.